Christie's prologue says they're going back to Shadow Lake, where a family mysteriously disappeared. I was glad to read this because I didn't like how the Shadow Lake book built up a big mystery and then left it unsolved. It's good we're finally going back to learn what happened. As it turns out, that is not the plot of this book. The unsolved mystery at Shadow Lake never gets mentioned again. Thanks for teasing me, Christie.
Argofont Book Review, Argofont Book Review.
This book was written by Nola Thacker. Christie's family is going to Shadow Lake during the winter. As usual, Christie is the only one who's allowed to bring friends. Christie worries the trip will be too much for Watson and it'll trigger another heart attack. She's also worried about Sam. He and Stacy first fell in love at Shadow Lake. What if he tries to rekindle their romance? I can't tell if Christie wants to avoid a potentially awkward situation, or if she honestly thinks Stacy would cheat on her boyfriend. Either way, the storyline mostly gets ignored, mainly because Sam never spends time with the Baby-Sitters Club members. When Stacy tries to let Sam down gently 150 pages later, he's more confused than anything else. We get a double-length recap chapter, and Abby and Christie see a robbery. They are walking together when they hear breaking glass. They rush forward, they find the Seeger house has a broken window, and see a masked burglar exit through the front door. The burglar glares at them, memorizing everything about them. Then, someone starts stalking the Baby-Sitters Club. The culprit throws a rock through Christie's window and spray paints "You're next" on her door. The police have no idea who could possibly want to harass Christie, like she didn't just witness a robbery. Marianne gets an anonymous note in her locker. It says, "Stop crying," in all caps. Oh jeez, our only clue is that the culprit is sick of Marianne's crying? Well, that could be almost anyone! Marianne assumes Logan is guilty, because the writing kind of looks like his. Forget the fact that Logan would never harass his girlfriend anonymously like this. We're gonna suspect him anyway. Marianne scares herself twice by thinking somebody's watching her. The culprit sets a fire in trash cans outside of Claudia's house. Luckily, no one's hurt because Claudia sees the smoke in time, and like I said, the fire is safely contained in trash cans outside the house. Abby brags that she's great at skiing. Claudia gets upset because she likes being the best skiing babysitter. Claudia warns Abby that reckless people are killed while skiing. Killed dead. As opposed to being killed alive? The culprit starts calling the girls. They answer the phone. He says, "You're next." Then he hangs up. The girls are terrified, and none of them know how to call someone back, so there's nothing they can do. Christie calls her police officer friend, Sergeant Johnson. Instead of telling him about the phantom phone calls, she asks about the robbery investigation. There is no robbery investigation. Mr. Seeger made up a fake excuse about breaking the window earlier, and he sent the police away. What is he hiding? Becca sees a man with a blue tattoo, just like the culprit in Stacy and the Mystery Money. Wow, way to spoil the ending to that book. Jesse and Mallory spend a chapter searching for Blue Tattoo Man, only to discover it was someone else. Being forced to remember Mystery 10 makes Christie realize they need a separate club notebook just for mysteries. If that means fewer unnecessary babysitting chapters in future mystery books, I'm in. They research at the library. Mr. Seeger is a member of the Stony Brook Business Bureau, and he's got a son named Noah. Abby roots through the recycling can for some reason. Does she normally go through other people's trash like that? She finds a newspaper article about the Baby-Sitters Club catching the dog napper in Mystery 7. Today's culprit used this article to learn who the girls are and start harassing them. I thought this made the culprit's identity obvious. It's the dog napper! Who else would be that interested in the dog napper's arrest from a year ago? To the point where he tries to kill them multiple times? It's gotta be the dog napper. Sadly, the babysitters are too dumb to draw this conclusion. Mallory spies on the Seegers while babysitting. Both Seegers enter the house through the side door, not the front door. It's like they're trying to stay in Mallory's line of sight. Mallory sees Mr. Seeger has bumper stickers for the business bureau. Christy decides, whoa, that's a big clue. It is? You discovered a member of the business bureau is in the business bureau. That doesn't seem like a big deal to me. They visit the bureau, where they get a list of members and learn Mr. Seeger's business is called Seeger Associates. At this point, they completely stop investigating Mr. Seeger for no reason at all. Some detectives. The culprit makes more phantom phone calls and tries to hit Stacy with a car, but they brake and swerve at the last second to avoid her. It's never explained why the culprit has a sudden change of heart here, because immediately after, the culprit goes back to trying to kill the girls repeatedly without any remorse. Continuity. Marianne gets another scary note, asking, why do you do the things you do? She doesn't understand why Logan is doing this to her.
What things? What am I doing? Why doesn't Logan just tell me?
Marianne, why don't you tell Logan about these notes? Seriously, it sounds dumb to complain he won't talk to you when you refuse to talk to him. Halfway through the book, Christy, Abby, Stacy, and Claudia leave for Shadow Lake. They meet the suspects, the other campers. Woody Keenan is a friendly college kid, Mr. Fetterman is an angry man with an eye patch, and Chris Wren is a nervous woman with a gun. The culprit tries to kill the girls. They stop the ski lift while Stacy is on it. They turn on a snow machine to hit Christy while she's skiing. They hide the signs to the super dangerous trail. Abby realizes the danger and saves Claudia in time, which conveniently resolves the Claudia's mad at Abby subplot. These murders must have taken some planning, since they're timed to avoid the lodge's ski patrols. I wonder how the culprit knew exactly where the girls would be long in advance. The burglar returns to the Seegers' house. Marianne calls the police, and the burglar is caught red-handed with the TV set. It turns out Noah Seeger is the burglar. He's stealing his dad's TV set because he owes a lot of money to someone for some reason. Wow, what a detailed explanation! So the burglar isn't the culprit. They have an emergency club meeting at Shannon's house, which is a terrible location because she lives on the far side of town and all the others live in walking distance of each other. Shannon cracks the case when she realizes the culprit has a bumper sticker from last year. Only 3 people didn't renew their membership with the Business Bureau this year. First is Carl Tate the dog napper, and we don't even bother to check who the other 2 are, because Carl is obviously guilty. A blizzard hits and the power goes out. The adults leave the teenagers alone in the cabin, so the culprit can torment them. The culprit breaks Christy's ski poles and leaves animal blood all over the snow. I guess the culprit broke into their cabin at one point, because they also steal Stacy's insulin, block the chimney, and slash open the pillows. The teenagers decide to head back to the main lodge when Carl Tate appears. He yells something and Abby knocks him unconscious with a snowball. It turns out Chris is secretly a police officer sent here to capture Carl, so he's arrested immediately. Shannon, Marianne, and Logan decide to investigate the Tate house. Shannon's dog runs in through the cat door, which is silly because Bernie's mountain dogs are way too big to use cat doors. But it's a good excuse for our heroes to go inside someone's house while technically not breaking and entering. Logan and Marianne decide to talk over their relationship issues while they're trespassing. This is a terrible time for the conversation. It turns out Logan's also getting scary notes. Those ones are in Marianne's handwriting. Marianne and Logan are happy to learn they still love each other, and the scary notes were from an unknown forger. In the end, we never learn who sent the notes or why. Somebody wanted to break up Marianne and Logan. I don't know who. In a twist, it's revealed Woody is secretly Carl Tate's son, Woodrow. Woodrow went insane and became obsessed with revenge on the Baby-Sitters Club because the Tates lost all of their money after Carl's arrest. Okay, well, I'm guessing they didn't lose all their money, considering they still live in the rich part of town and Woody was driving a Mercedes earlier. Woody grabs Stacy and screams that they ruined his life. Stacy drives her elbow into his stomach while Christy throws a flare at him. Woody stumbles backwards onto the lake and falls through the ice, screaming! We're later told he survived being in the freezing lake for several minutes in the middle of a blizzard, but that seems like a lie they came up with just to avoid getting complaints from angry parents about how they killed someone in a Baby-Sitters Club book. The end. Post-book follow-up. This is a scary book. That is clearly the author's main intention, to write a terrifying story where a crazed maniac stalks the BSC and repeatedly attempts to kill them. The book 100% succeeds when it comes to the goal of providing middle school terror. But as I believe I've said before, scary stories are not the same as mysteries, and this is not a good mystery. The culprit is a random person we've never heard of before, none of the crimes are explained, and multiple storylines are dropped, like the investigation into Seeger's business and who sent scary notes to Marianne. It was a good idea to bring back a culprit from a previous mystery, but I would not have picked Carl Tate. I would have picked one of the culprits who had a personality, or actual dialogue. You know, a culprit that's memorable, not a generic villain. And boy, is it weird that they picked a Dawn culprit for the culprit revenge storyline when she's not in this book at all? The narration in this book is not purposeful. You'd think Claudia would narrate the chapter about the fire in her house, right? Nope, it was someone else. Multiple times there's a scene where the narrator doesn't appear at all, like a Stacy chapter talks about what happened to Marianne when Marianne was at home alone. Or Christy narrates the 3 skiing murder scenes, which she didn't see. It would have been better to spread out the 3 attempted murder scenes over 3 chapters, so each girl can narrate her near-death experience. As it is, jam-packing them all into one chapter makes for bad pacing, especially since the final third of the book has many half-length chapters. I can't tell if the author was trying to be suspenseful with short chapters, or if they couldn't think of anything to do with the 5 babysitters who were at home, completely removed from all the action. Maybe splitting the group up for half the book was not a good idea. There were only 2 storylines I liked. The Seeger burglary made for a good fake-out culprit. I also liked the storyline of Christy worrying about Watson. Like the Stacy Sam storyline, it shows up too infrequently to be effective. It's like once every 75 pages. But it ended with a touching scene where Christy realizes she doesn't want Watson to leave like her dad did, and it made me cry a little. Overall, the book is scary. It's ridiculous, but scary. I thought it was fairly decent, but there is clear room for a lot of improvement, such as not dropping storylines, or ignoring storylines for 70 pages at a time. I've been complaining about the super specials dropping storylines for 70 pages at a time. Call it super special syndrome. I give Baby-Sitters Club Super Mystery number 2, Babysitters Beware, a 6 out of 10.